What's your number one challenge? And what they kept on saying was time. Really, what's your number one challenge? And what they kept on saying was time. I don't have time for what's important. And so I really started to investigate this whole thing about busyness and what happened as a result of busyness. And I learned, looking at the stats, that we weren't healthier, we weren't happier, we weren't more productive. None of that was true. So I started to create a process that made sense. And the process isn't rocket science. It's a combination of some common sense, but it works. So let me share with you a little bit about the process. We all try to do too much. We set ourselves up for failure. So step one in my busy busting framework is about eliminating low value activities. When you've got a myriad of things to do, don't spend your time doing the things that have low value. You don't need to be scrolling social media. You don't need to be, wiping the countertop down 10 times. You think about checking social media or checking your email or answering every single phone call that you get or every text or every, Facebook pop up. You've got to determine what are the low value things and stop doing them. And many times they're habitual. But once you eliminate some of these low value activities, you make room for things that are more purposeful. And it starts to feel better right away. Step two in my process is about happiness. And I wrote my first book about happiness is your responsibility. And I learned a lot about the neuroscience of happiness and how when we are happy, we really become super people. We're more productive, our ability to focus, our ability to, entertain and be more engaging with other people, to fight off chronic disease, to focus. So many things are improved when we're happy. So I thought to myself, why do we think happiness is a destination and a place? I will be happy when I get married, when I have a baby, when I get a new car, when I get an apartment, when I finish this project. Why can't happiness be in the micro moments? And why can't we create them for ourselves and really capitalize on this neuroscientific science of happiness? And so step two is what I call happiness rituals and creating tiny little micro moments throughout your day to get a little endorphin rush and to feel good. And they don't have to be anything big. It can be something as simple as a mantra. You say to yourself, I am enough, I have enough, I got this. It could be going and eating a couple of pieces of dark chocolate and closing your eyes. It can be walking outside and just saying it's cold, but the cold air feels good. It can be so many small little things. And you can do them in the workplace too. It takes 2 to 3 minutes for your mind to release endorphins and to get into this mode where it makes your body feel better and you have more energy and you have more positivity. So it's not about these big things, it's about the small things. And then the third thing for me is about aligning how you spend your time with what's important. And to me, what's important is your values. I believe that people don't know what their values are, or they've gotten away from understanding what values equate to the quality of life. And from my perspective, I've done a lot of research on values and how people feel about themselves at the end of their day. And there are really four values that equate to feeling like you had a great life. One of them is human connection and making sure that you're connecting with other human beings. Another one is really about self-care and energy management and making sure you're taking care of yourself, you're managing your thoughts in a productive way. Another way is growth. We all need to learn and grow, and when we learn and grow, we know we can do hard things and we know we're resilient. So learning is a very important value. And then the fourth value that I tell people to strive to have every day in their life is authenticity, and not so much being authentic to your own needs, but understanding there's so many different people in the world and respecting their views, their philosophies, their contributions, and being open-minded about them. So that's what I call values vibing, the third step in the busy busting process. And the three of them combined, they really equate to more productivity, better health, happiness, all this good stuff that we really want. And so I love sharing the busy busting process with people.
I'm on board. And so much of what you have described is a lot of what I believe the Pebble is about too. When you start doing what you want and you get happy, you start living the right life. When I came into the Pebble and when I was like, I have to share this. No matter what else I do with my life, I have to share this. I honestly came to the thought that if you're unhappy, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. It just was like boom. And when we are in line with who we should be and what we're supposed to be doing, we can't help but make the people around us feel better because we feel better and we are doing good in the world, even if our job is, I tell people, we've all come across that toll road operator that when they give us a change, there's just a light inside them. And you're like, how can you be that happy being a toll road operator? And there's just something about them, and that was to me was where the pebble sparked from was
Mhm.
we come across these people that it's not what they're doing, it's who they are. And
Mhm.
so when you talked about that and then turning that into the busy busters, it's about living your values and making the choices of what you do each day based upon it. And I when we were talking before we were talking, I shared that I think I'm a busy in recovery busyness person, and I'm really realizing slowly, and I wish I had learned it when my kids were younger, but you can't live in regret. You can just only move forward. That every time I said yes to a gazillion things, that I was saying no. And I can't, and I was saying no to things that really were better in line with my values. So I've been starting in the morning to look at my calendar and really go, okay, is this block of time really where I want to be spending my time? And I've started dressing. A new thing for me is dressing for work, even though I work from home. So I can kind of like end my day and begin my day. Because I think that happens too when we work from home. It kind of bleeds in and out. And it didn't used to do that when I got in a car and I went to a workplace and I came home. The first thing I wanted to do is be done with work because work had a place. And so I just really appreciate you sharing this because whether you go to work and come home or you work from home, I think work has started to invade everywhere anyways. But I think also a lot of us, like myself, have trouble just turning it off. There's always something like, oh, I really need to clean that, or I really need to do that. And learning to just be and be with the people we love or be where we are. I feel like there's so many of us that need this right now.
Yeah, I mean, the world would certainly be a better place. People would be kinder to each other. We'd be more innovative. We'd be more productive if we realize that we can truly only do one thing at a time. This concept of multitasking is not a good concept because you can't do two things at once and do them well. You can't do three things at once and do them well. They'll be riddled with mistakes, and you will end up spending more time trying to get the balancing between those three things. So, for me, avoiding busyness is really common sense because it's about looking at the data. And the data clearly shows you don't sleep, you don't have energy, your brain can't work at its full capacity. If you don't eat regularly, you're not nourishing your brain. Once again, you can't move or work at full capacity. So, we really, if we want to be our best selves, we really need to take better care of ourselves and be more intentional in what we do, how we do it, and the focus we put into it. It's yes, it's a hectic world. Yes, it's a hustle society, but you can choose where you're going to hustle. And hey, I just wrote a book and it's a busy time for me. And I'm doing a lot of podcasts and I'm doing a lot of interviewing and I'm doing a lot of speaking. And it's a busy time, but I always have time for the things that are important to me, always, because I hard code them into my schedule. They're there. I have time, my workout time scheduled for December of this month. Every day, 6 days a week, I have 60 minutes in for working out, period. So I will never go a day without working out because it's already scheduled in there. And so are my happiness rituals, and so are my girls' night out. And we live by our calendars, but we don't realize that we have the power to make sure that how we spend those little blocks of time that we block out in advance, that it can be things we love. It doesn't have to be work related things.
Awesome. Well, if you had one last lesson to that you would say, I definitely need to share that, what would that be?
I think moving beyond busy, which is an amazing place to be, you're healthier, you're happier, you're more productive, is about micro steps. You don't need to make major changes in your life. Just eliminate one low value activity. Just do one thing that lights you up a day. Just look at your values and ask yourself once in a while, am I really living these values? It's not hard. It's the micro steps, and the micro steps add up.
Awesome. I love that. Well, Peggy, I really sincerely appreciate you giving me your time today because, as you said, you do have a whole lot going on. So, on behalf of the Pebble and me, I thank you.
You are quite welcome.